Well, good morning. I guess a lot of you probably, like me, stayed up and watched the Georgia Senate runoffs just to torture yourself, I suppose, because the communist takeover of the United States Senate appears to be complete. At one point, things were looking pretty good, as 91% of the vote was in, and Perdue led by 3%, and Loeffler led by a couple of percent. And Perdue's lead of 120,000 votes with 9% left out looked pretty good. Now I'll grant you that in the Atlanta metropolitan area there were still a lot of outstanding votes. And according to Fox News, they brought Karl Rove on with his little board and his math and all this stuff, and they was claiming that there was 117 outstanding votes. Well, if every single one of them went to the Democrat, they still wouldn't catch Perdue. But mysteriously, that 3% lead just vanished. It disappeared into thin air. I think it was a little bit after 11 o'clock Eastern, and it went away. And on Loeffler's, her lead went away and flipped over to Warnock. It was screenshotted by several people that there was a loss of over 30 some thousand votes, and I'll let you take a look at that for yourself.
So it will obviously change the order on that very lengthy Biden to-do list.
Okay, Mary Bruce, stand by for us. We do want to come back to you once we have more of the vote in. I want to go to John Carl right now, our chief White House correspondent. John, on that last point that I was talking to Mary about, Joe Biden is a creature of Congress, and before the partisan politics that took over.
So while that's very shocking, I'm sure that the TV outfits, CNN and ABC, both did the same thing. Now, CNN and ABC are not taking away the votes. This is done at a higher level than them. They just feed what they get, I think, from the Secretary of State's office. But where are these votes going? And they're going to have this flowery discussion on, oh, well, this happened and that happened, and the water main broke and the sun was in our eyes, and they're going to have all kinds of excuses. But the funny thing is, these kind of things never happen with a Democrat. You don't see them losing votes on the screen before your very eyes. But as though that wasn't enough, later in the night, another 5,000 mysteriously disappeared. I'll let you take a look at that one.
Laying the groundwork for a successful administration.
Turning now to the runoffs tonight in Georgia, I'm sure you're confident the Democrats are going to be able to pull off.
Now, when it matters most,
21-25 for Perdue. What happened?
Laying the groundwork for a
21-30
successful
for Perdue.
administration.
Turning now to the runoffs tonight in Georgia, I'm sure you're confident the Democrats are going to be able to pull off.
Now, when it matters most,
21-25 for Perdue. What happened?
All right, so I think that it provides a certain amount of evidence that flaky things are most certainly afoot. Now, if you think this is the only election that happened in, if you happen to be one of those that stayed up into the wee hours of the morning like I did and watched the presidential election, the things on the presidential election were even more alarming than this. And this is bad enough to me. Now, we saw the same shenanigans happen again. We shut down our counting in one of the Democrat counties in down around Savannah, and they said, oh, we'll count them in the morning. Well, why did they do this? I believe they do it because they need to figure out how many votes do we need to win this thing. Even after all of the cheating and all of the foolishness that went on the night before, there might not still be enough votes for the Democrats, and so we've still got to find a way. And so they just stopped counting. And this stop counting mechanism needs to be abolished in future elections. All right, so today we're going to have the Stop the Steal rally. In fact, it already is going on in Washington, D.C. I'm going to try to bring you some stuff on that very shortly once I get this video out. But I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you in a while.